Good morning, everybody. This is Grant from State of the Spark with a special Friday episode. We're talking about Freedom Fridays, financial freedom. We're talking about how to actually help you navigate financial freedom. Yes, the rest of the week we talk about small business development, personal development, taking things to the next level. But Fridays are all about financial freedom, and we are going to be talking about crypto straight at you today. Some of you are like, oh, crypto, but you have to understand some things. So we're going to be talking about, is there hype around Bored Apes? What the crap is a Bored Ape for those who don't know? We're also going to be talking about, is there such thing as passive income? Really? I contend that there's not such a thing as passive income. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be covering a quick bit of other news, but yes, it's going to be crypto other news. We're going to be talking about that. And last but not least, or first, but definitely first, we're going to be talking about morning cup of gratitude. Now, notice this morning, I don't have a hot cup of morning gratitude. I don't have my hot cup of coffee. I do have my coffee with cream, and that's okay. So the first thing I am grateful for is y'all. Let's talk about it. This morning, I am grateful for the cryptocurrency world. I'm thankful that we are able to watch a technological revolution real time. You know, we didn't have these when these were being built. So we couldn't share like we can share today at the pace we can share and iterate along with the technology. And so it's a huge world out there that we have access to. And I am super grateful for crypto Twitter and a lot of the supporters I've been connecting with in the crypto space. And I'm working on a project of my own, and I'm going to start building it out in the open so y'all can see and partake and participate in that. But also learn about cryptocurrencies because this will, and blockchain, because this will be affecting so many corners of your world. So this morning, I'm grateful for technology. I'm grateful that we get to participate with our website company, but also in the crypto space in general, and just being a part of that as that's growing. I've been investing in crypto since 2014, I think, and we've been at it a long time, and it's just now starting to take. But it is a dynamic thing that's affecting a lot of things. So today, in Financial Freedom Fridays, we're going to be talking about, we're also going to be dispelling very briefly the myths because there's a lot of hype. And in the back of hype, people lose a lot of money and they don't necessarily learn the lessons that they should be learning. So we're going to be covering that today. And as always, if you want to talk about more stuff like this, follow our Discord, jump on the Patreon so you can get our trades, basically our crypto trades, but also special deals, especially as we start rolling out our NFT projects. Who gets first access to that? You know, the Discord members and the Patreon members get access to that stuff first. Let's talk about other news. Now, this other news is crypto news, but it affects you because we're going to be tying this together in the real lesson today, and that's this. Is there really such a thing as passive income? And we're going to dispel the myths. There's a lot of hype around things like CryptoPunks and Bored Ape Yacht Club and NFTs and what are these JPEGs? Yes, if you're sitting on the couch miserly looking at people going, that's just JPEGs. Why are you paying for JPEGs? You're right and wrong. You're wrong for some reasons, but you're right for others. And today we're going to be covering why you're right. And that is that there's an unseen side of all the millions, and yes, real millions being made, but there's an unseen side, an unsexy side, if you will, of why a lot of Bored Ape old holders are stuck. Why are people that own Bored Apes stuck? We're going to be talking about it because it's not all frills and fancy. There are a lot of people holding Bored Apes that can get on in the yachts that they have in New York City or access their Airbnbs, but there are a lot more Bored Ape holders that are still working 9-to-5 jobs, working late nights because they cannot access that money. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But let's talk about other news. In short, real quick, Bitcoin's down 2.55% this morning. It's not bad. Ethereum's down 2.4%. And good news, Ripple XRP is up 6.5%, which is outstanding and unique. So I looked into it a little bit. Long story short, the judge presiding over the SEC lawsuit about XRP and Ripple, which is being sued by the SEC, the judge has ruled against the SEC again. The judge in the case for XRP and Ripple has ruled against the SEC again, basically in favor of Ripple. Because it's basically Ripple countersued the SEC saying that you are cherry picking. Basically, you picked us out because you were investing in specific cryptos and you were trying to actually make your investments specifically to the the people at the SEC who are in the case, the prosecutors, I guess, if you will, in the case, Ripple was making the argument that you are going specifically after us. Ripple was then requiring them to reveal some internal emails. The SEC said, no, these are highly secure emails. We can't reveal them. Or if we do reveal them, we're going to modify what they say or black them out. And the judge said, nope, you have to show the full context of the emails because it shows intent that you are going after Ripple uniquely. And so 2 days ago, the Brad Gerlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple, came out and said, this case is going extraordinary for us. No, we cannot do more business in the U.S. right now. But Ripple has been growing by leaps and bounds internationally because their technology works. The technology works for banking. The technology works for large financial institutions at large, and they've been growing. So that's why they're up 6.5% today. Cardano's down 1.9%. Let's talk about an investment I just got into. So for those who don't know or who are just jumping in, there's 4 of you, there's 6 of you, there's 8 of you. Today's show, the Spark Show, is about freedom, and we talk a lot about mental freedom. On Mondays, we talk about mindset and personal development because you can't talk about freedom if you're not talking about mental freedom and internal freedom and physical freedom, meaning the ability to move around, location freedom, the ability to travel wherever you want. But today, we're going to just talk about straight what you want to talk about. You want to talk about financial freedom. And so my big thing is Spark streams of income, AKA multiple streams of income. I like them Spark streams of income because we're all things Spark here. But multiple streams of income are necessary. So I am always experimenting with multiple streams of income. Today, we're talking more about crypto. Yes, we have real estate. We'll talk about that. We'll bring in some of our real estate investors and our partners for that. Yes, there's commodities, there's stocks. Me and Marissa made a ton of money when the pandemic first hit in the traditional TradFi markets. Today, we're talking about DeFi markets, basically decentralized finance. Today, I got into an investment called SAFU, not investment advice. This is just something I'm experimenting with. For those who don't know, we lost a ton of money, nearly 99% in our personal accounts, nearly 60% in our group investment account. We have a group investment account, which is another investment we're into. And because of we're rolling out a video, we rolled out a video. Actually, yeah, we rolled out a video this week on the YouTube. Go check it out of how we were able to save 35% when everyone lost 99% when Wonderland Time DAO crashed. We actually had our investors' money protected because of how we approached that. And we only lost about 60%, or I'm sorry, 35% in that account. But I basically swore off DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs, swore those off. But I've been paying attention to one that's come up consistently on my radar. It did not crash when all the other DAOs crashed. In fact, it launched after the fact. And it has a very unique model. Again, this is not investment advice. This is what I'm doing. It's called SAFU, S-A-F-U-U. Some of you OGs have been in since it started ages ago in February, just a month and a half ago. I'm in it right now. I just got in it with a small stake amount. Usually when I enter a DAO, I enter with small stakes, and then I 10x my investment to make sure it's paying out. Now, this one's an interesting model. SAFU is interesting, and there's obviously a strong culture around it. But this one's interesting because they basically pay out 383,000% a year. And these are all the fancy high APY promises of Wonderland Time, Jade Protocol, all these other protocols. And nearly all of them have crashed, not all of them. Titano's still around. Looks like Ohm Fork is still around to a degree. But the APYs are paying out. In fact, with Wonderland Time, the APYs are still paying out. But the question is will your tokens actually grow? Well, when it comes to Wonderland Time and most of these DAOs that started late last year and crashed through January and February of this year, most of them, their token value, let's say they were worth $1,000, they were paying out 75,000% a year. So that's going to be some serious cash at the end of the year. However, what if the price actually crashes? In Wonderland Time, it was worth over $100,000 per token or per unit. We bought a bunch. And then the auto staking happened, or the staking happened. You basically stake your money, you put it in, you get a reserve token, or you get like a token that you can hold on to. And then the APY increases in some fashion. But what happens if the US dollar value of that thing crashes to nearly zero, as would happen with Wonderland Time? What are you left holding? Well, you know, if you're making 75,000% return a year, that's great, unless your thing keeps devaluing by 100% a year. Well, that's what basically has been going on. But Safu is showing a little bit different promise. It's basically calling out that these are unsustainable rates. And I'm telling you, they're unsustainable rates. So we guarantee to give these rates as we build up our treasury over the next 12 months. And then at 12 months, it decreases to a tenth. So if it was paying out, let's just say 1,000%, it's going to then pay out 100%. And then the following 6 months, it does that again till it has normalized rates. It's basically building out. It's basically a fundraising model. Get early investors to stake their money for about a year while they build up their treasury, and they have a planned diminishing of the value. So I'm in it for a year. It just started in February. We know that we're going to get 380,000% between now and the end of the year. So why not put our money in, get 2% a day, basically is what it compounds to. So I'm into that one today. So in other news, Bitcoin's down a little bit, sure, but I just got into Safu. Again, not trading advice. It's just what I'm up to. It's another experiment we're doing. And if you pay attention, like and subscribe the show, we'll actually on YouTube give you a breakdown of how that investment went. I'm very transparent about the stuff we lose money on. I'm very transparent about the stuff we make money on. Now let's talk about the Bored Ape Yacht Club. Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs. For those who've been hiding under a rock and don't know much about the Bored Apes, they are getting a trilogy. Now, what the crap is going on with this? If you're just seeing this and you're like, I know about Bored Apes, but like, I don't really know what's going on. Bored Apes is a $1.5 billion company now. Yuga Labs. They started and launched Bored Apes. Then they introduced Mutant Apes, which didn't go so well. Then they ultimately had a knockdown success in the growth of the community of Bored Apes. They minted for between $250 and $400, which is kind of normal for most mints of NFTs. And if you don't know what mints are, watch another video on that. But what happens is as they build up a solid community, that community ends up trading the apes. And at each and every trade, it creates an income, which is the power of smart contracts. Well, long story short, it's traded enough now that their trades have valued cash to them $1.5 billion in about the last 9 months. 9 months. Imagine being a company going from zero to $1.5 billion in actual cash on cash revenue in 9 months. It's actually boggling, and they have actually held onto it very well. The average Bored Ape, there are 10,000 Bored Apes. The average Bored Ape right now is going for $330,000 each, which is significant. Started at $200, went to $330,000. Now, they have the cash to build up their top asset, and their top asset with the Bored Ape Yacht Club is their brand. Their community is so funky. Their flavor and style is so defined that they've now launched from being just a JPEG to being an entire culture. They've launched previews of the metaverse they're launching. When you're sitting on $1.5 billion, you actually have to spend it. Your tax implications are so high that you have to start spending money, but hopefully you're spending money intelligently. Fortunately for Yuga Labs, the owners of Bored Apes, they haven't been blowing this on fancy cars and all this. They've actually been reinvesting in the community. They've been hiring community managers. They've been purchasing Airbnbs that if you hold the JPEG, you can actually visit the Airbnbs wherever Bored Ape Airbnbs are. You can book that because you're a member of this very elite club. So they've actually been doing community management and brand management extraordinarily well. Interestingly enough, and this is where you start to see decentralized finance move from NFTs into revenue streams, because owning an NFT is not a revenue stream. We're going to talk about that in the lesson today. And remember, we're just talking about news right now, but hopefully you're learning something. So now you had an NFT that turned into a community. Now you have access to an Airbnb, but it's still not cashed to you as that NFT holder. Well, what happens when you start to get into licensing rights? If you own a Bored Ape, you own the right to go create t-shirts and go create hats. Thanks for the love, Carrie. I hope you're doing great this morning. That's Carrie Elizabeth jumping on this morning. Good to see you this morning. So if you own a Bored Ape or any NFT and you own that NFT, most likely you own the rights to do what you want with that thing. So if I owned Bored Ape, let's just say I profiled Bored Ape 3709, is that what it is? Bored Ape 1734. If I own that, I own the right to create hoodies, create hats, create stickers, create a whole micro brand around that Bored Ape. And some Bored Ape owners have begun actually doing that thing. Carrie jumps in and says, "Good morning, sir." Carrie, awesome. I hope you're having a great Friday today. We're talking about financial freedom, and we're profiling on why owning Bored Apes is interesting, but it's not necessarily financial freedom. Let's talk about it. So in short, the Bored Ape company, Yuga Labs, has announced a three-part trilogy, a film trilogy. And they've gone to the Bored Ape owners and said, listen, do you want to feature your Bored Ape in the film? And you'll get royalties. So now you see decentralized finance starting to take hold in the mainstream, because if you're a Bored Ape holder, you're now going to see revenues, not just because Yuga Labs is going to receive revenue and there might be a revenue share for Bored Ape holders, but they want to relicense. They created the thing, they sold the thing, but in decentralized ownership, Bored Ape owner 1734 has rights to their Bored Ape. And if they feature that character with speaking lines or whatever it is they do in the film, that Bored Ape owner owns licensing rights. So now they get a kickback. It's just like a music owner having their song used in a film, and that person deserves licensing rights to their song if it's used in a wildly popular film. So now you're seeing cryptocurrencies and blockchain that are just JPEGs starting to help the owners of those JPEGs in a very real way. In fact, Yuga Labs is going to go down. Yuga Labs, hear me on this, and I'm prophesying this. This is true. Yuga Labs will go down in history as a pioneer. They fought through creating the community they needed to create the hype and interest around their brand. There's hundreds of thousands of NFT lines, and people are just trying to make a quick buck. Yuga Labs has actually tried to create community, and there are many other subsequent good projects that are out there trying to create really solid communities. And the hope is how do we then get into licensing? How do we get into income? How do we get into benefit to our people? And you don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, so you want to start small. And yes, you are just going to start by selling an NFT. But if you see any cash flow, are you reinvesting that, as Yuga Labs has it? They've reinvested in the form of investments, yachts, Airbnbs that their members have access to but don't necessarily own. Well, as you get into the trilogy, they're making further strides. The trilogy of films, they're making further strides into creating precedents that NFT holders deserve residual rights, basically incentives for their character, their art to be featured in the film. So that's what's going on in other crypto news. Let's talk about, even if you own a Bored Ape, are you rich? Let's talk about it. So before any of this, a lot of you might be sitting on the sidelines having never purchased an NFT. I keep trying to purchase several. I have purchased several. I've tried to get really involved in several communities, but Ethereum fees are skyrocketing. But a lot of you are sitting on the sidelines and you're watching NFTs and you're saying, those are just JPEGs. You are very informed of what an NFT is, but you probably actually haven't gone out and pulled the trigger and spent a couple $100 on an NFT because it is to you just a JPEG. But you are hearing stories. CryptoPunks being sold for $23 million. Alien Punk was sold for about $23 million, I think it was. You're seeing Meebits being purchased for a ridiculous amount of money. You're seeing Beeple selling his stuff on Sotheby's for $63 million. You're seeing a collection of 20 different Bored Apes being sold for $23 million at Sotheby's auctions. You're seeing people get rich off NFTs. Well, there's a lot of fads that people have gotten rich off. And is NFTs a fad? Well, everything is a fad. So when I say it, I'm not being derogatory to it, because everything when it first comes out has fad-like traits. But what happens is the quick money people, the flash in the pan people who aren't really invested, they're just trying to make a quick buck. They might make a quick buck, but they burn out. And that's where you get Ponzi schemes and all this other thing. But you see mixed within all of that are people genuinely pushing it forward. And we're seeing this with NFTs. But the question that a lot of you armchair quarterbacks, your Monday morning quarterbacks of NFTs who haven't really purchased anything or gotten in the mix, who haven't found art you loved and purchased it and paid for that art. It doesn't have to have utility. It can. If it has utility, that's awesome. If it doesn't have utility, so what? Do you love it? Or is the community going somewhere? I just checked out Tiny Wizards, I think it is, or Wizard Bits or something like this. And I love what they're doing. The founder of Reddit jumped in and is getting involved because he loved the 8-bit Zelda culture, as do I. I was a 90s kid. I was raised around that. We're starting our own project, me and John Sierra, around 8-bit characters. We're really nerding out because it's just fun. But a lot of you are asking a very valid question. A lot of you armchair quarterbacks, you bench warming people who are being critical of NFTs, or I'm going to wait till this thing sorts itself out. You're going to miss the big moves, which is okay. That's okay. There's still going to be money to be made. But you are asking a very valid question. If someone owns a Bored Ape worth sometimes to the tune of millions, but on average about $330,000, are you rich? I mean, what does it mean? Are you financially independent? Are you free from worrying about bills? What does financial freedom mean to you? And we're here to talk about financial freedom. Here we go. Boom. Carrie says, my buddy's creating the design with the Wizard Zelda NFT. Carrie, put me in touch with this person. I really want to connect with these people. I want to interview them for the show, but we actually have several projects and investors. So Carrie, please put us in touch with this guy. Thank you so much. So I think there's a major problem out here. And the first problem is, what does financial freedom mean to you? As we talk about Bored Apes, as we talk about CryptoPunks, as we talk about your own NFT project, what does financial freedom mean to you? To most people, I think that they think it means freedom from worrying about bills, freedom from responsibility, the ability to take care of your health, your food, your shelter. Maybe it's having enough cash to travel, to have fun, or gifts for loved ones. And ultimately, financial freedom is not about money. It's about freedom. Freedom from worry. Freedom to do what you want. I want to wake up and not have to punch a clock anywhere, anytime. I don't care if it's Zoom. I don't care if it's on a beach in Bali. I've done remote work. Marissa and I have lived in the Dominican Republic. Location freedom is interesting. But is it ultimate freedom? Freedom generally boils down. If you want freedom from worry, freedom from having to punch a clock, freedom to be where you want, to say what you want, to do what you want, to take care of your health, to buy food. If you see a desire to have a car, you want to buy it, that's great. If you want to rebuild an original Ford truck, as I want to build, with the wooden side panels and the curvy front, I want to rebuild it from scratch, every nut and bolt. If I want to do that, or if I want to sit and read any book I want to read, or write my next book about multiple streams of income, spark streams of income, if that's my next book that I want to write, multiple streams of income for people with ADD, if that's what I want to do, what we're ultimately talking about is money. You see, the problem is that as we chase money, because people, I think, know that they don't want money. No one wants money. No one actually wants money. They want what they can get for them. They want what money can get for them. No one actually wants money. And I'm bringing this up today because we're talking about Bored Apes, and we're talking about FOMO. We're talking about fear of missing out. We're talking about fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So we have to be talking about money. But the truth is that there's a major problem in this. And the problem is that in the chase for money, because it is a tangible good, so many people get lost and forget that they don't want it. In fact, they want to take it temporarily and give it to somebody else because they want what money can get them. We got some money last year and I gave it away. Why? Because I didn't want the money. I wanted the trip to Costa Rica. Boom. Carrie drops this in. Psychology of money. Guess what, Carrie? Whoop. Now, psychology of money is the latest iteration of this, but this information has been around for a long, long time. A lot of people, when they travel, they buy shot glasses. When I travel, I buy I visit local bookstores, out-of-print bookstores. In any country, in any city I go, I visit out-of-print bookstores, and I purchased old and out-of-print personal development and financial management books. That's what I do. This concept of people don't want money, they want what it can get them, that concept has been around for a long, long time. So the problem is that people get lost, though. They forget. They forget what actually has value. If you have a Bored Ape, if you have a CryptoPunk, are you wealthy? Well, it might be fun. You might be deriving a lot of joy, a lot of social credibility. But it's a form of money. It's a thing. It's a form of access. I worked for a multi-millionaire in Vero Beach, Florida as a mentor. He was a real estate mentor to me, my first financial mentor. I watched him turn a $4 million property into $20 million just in terms of adding value to that thing in about 2 years. It was a wild thing to watch. And he always would say, it's not about money, Grant, it's about access. If you have a Bored Ape, you might not have the $330,000 that it's worth, but you have access. To the community, to the resources they're making available, like they're making accountants available and advisors available to anyone that owns a Bored Ape. You have access to a community. It's access. Do your NFTs do that? Well, does it have utility? Well, utility is a phrase, and it should. There's a lot of NFTs that do have real utility, like mortgages as an NFT have a lot of utility. Banking as an NFT. Tickets, like Relic Tickets, is a local ticketing company. There's a lot of utility in that, but you can have utility in the form of access and access to a community. Now, what's worse is that as people are losing sight, as they're chasing money and what they think it could get them, and they're losing sight of the original goal, the original true positive motivation, as they're forgetting that, it gets worse because in our world of fast-growing NFTs and moonshot cryptos, all cutting edge technology that's truly asset rich, there's still a huge gap, a huge knowledge gap, and how to transfer that money to actually improve the individual owner's life. Billy Weigel jumps in. Good morning. Friday morning with Grant. Let's talk some crypto, brother. And that's what we're doing this morning. So there's a huge problem out here that we need to break down. And the answer, I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to solve this problem. But the problem is there's a lot of people that are struggling. They want financial freedom. They want freedom, but they lose sight of that freedom because of the paper chase. On top of that, there's a lot of pseudo assets. I'm not calling Bored Ape pseudo assets. I'm saying that when you have this asset and it moonshot in less than 9 months to be worth $300,000 and millions of dollars, there's a new investor class. By new, I mean they're new money. They're nouveau riche. They're suddenly got all these assets, but it's not improving their lives. So how can you solve this problem of rapidly growing assets? Meaning some 13-year-old bought a board punk for a couple $100 with his money, and now it's worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, but they're still working a dishwasher job. And on top of that, they're getting sucked into the fanfare of being a Bored Ape owner, being a CryptoPunk owner, and they're losing sight that this is not a skill. You got lucky. No, I didn't get lucky. I picked the project. How many other crypto projects are in your OpenSea account? Probably dozens. How many of those have taken off? Maybe some. In every gold rush, everyone thinks they're a genius. But we're going to solve this for you. How do you solve this dilemma? If you were being honest, and on our Twitter, you can give me crap on Twitter. You'd be like, no, I'm brilliant. I'm big-brained. I purchased this NFT, and I've got this crypto. The skill you need, and hear from a bit of an OG. I've been here in crypto since 2013. I've been in the financial freedom game since 2004. We've traveled all over the world. We've built multiple businesses. Are we rich? I don't think so. But we're doing pretty well. And I want you to just pause and hear me on the solution here. You don't need the skill necessarily of crypto. It can help. You don't need the skill necessarily of NFT. It could help. But a thing about technology is the thing about trends. And these aren't bad trends. These trends are here to stay. But the thing about trends is they move up and they move down. The ultimate skill you want to acquire, and this is how we're going to solve for you, is understanding passive income, but understanding passive income in the context of multiple streams of income. Let's talk about a few quick principles, and I'll let you get about your day real quick. Number one, just because you are asset rich doesn't mean you're wealthy. Number one, just because you're asset rich doesn't mean you're wealthy. If you own a Bored Ape, you are asset rich right now. Hands down. You have access to these communities, and hopefully these communities are giving you access to their advisors. Hopefully these communities are educating you about, listen, you might be an 18-year-old who just got a Bored Ape and you just see this asset value, but you got to do something next. Boom. Billy Weigel says the big difference between being rich, having a lot of money, and being wealthy when your money is making you money, 100%. You want to be big-brained? A lot of you have, for those who don't know, in crypto Twitter, there's a phrase about being big-brained. You big-brain. You're a big brain, not just if you're asset rich, but if you know how to have your money make you money. Now, some people are doing this thing where they have a Bored Ape, and let's actually profile this. Bored Ape number 1734 just sold for 420th ETH, basically $1.4 million. I mean, the hype is huge, and the hype is warranted, and the hype is legit. I wish I had gotten, I really do. I wish I had gotten into Bored Apes. I saw the mint. And I passed it by. Why? Because Ethereum fees were too high. I was looking at paying, I think it was $400 for the mint. And when I tried to mint, it was another $150. So I was looking at spending $600 for this thing. And there was no community at the time. None. It was all speculation. The only people that knew kind of the vision were truly insiders. Oh, I was whitelisted. I was in the Discord. Man, I'm in half a dozen Discords that are all making the same promises. So the hype now is huge. The hype is legit. The average, as we're saying, is $330,000 for a Bored Ape. But what will this person who just sold this do with their money? What will the person who just sold Bored Ape 1734 for $1.4 million, what will they do with their money? They bought it for $400 on the open. They just earned $1.399 $400 in total capital gains. Now, capital gains, their tax liability, they're looking at a $260,000 to $335,000 tax liability. So what's more, they sat on this thing for a year. They were in the Discord, they were in the community, but they still had to wake up the next day and punch a clock. They owned a JPEG that was skyrocketing, probably tempted to sell it at $50,000, probably tempted to sell it at $100,000, but it's worth 1.4 and good on them. They kept a job and then they sold at $1.4 million. Good for them. Good for them. They had diamond hands, man. That's not no paper hands thing. They were diamond hands. They held on to that thing. But now what do? They don't have the skill. They might be thinking they could do a 1031 exchange, but people don't realize this. You can't 1031 exchange crypto, not as of last year. And I can look this up, but the IRS put out a paper that you can't, cryptocurrency is exempted from the 1031 exchange rule. What's a 1031 exchange rule? Billy Weigel's on. He knows. Carrie's on. She knows. These guys are financially savvy individuals. 1031 exchange is when you sell a piece of property for capital gains, and if you don't want to pay taxes, you have so many months. I think it's 13 months. I might be wrong how long it is. But you have so many months, of just over a year, to put that money into another investment, and then you avoid the taxes on it. That's a big brain move, right? And hopefully you move that money. It's not just money, but you move that money into something that pays you cash for your living expenses. Now, there is this argument that, well, what if I took out a loan? Let's talk about that real quick. So if the first principle is just because you're asset rich doesn't mean you're wealthy, and we covered that just a second ago. The second point is this: residual income is resilient income. If you owned Bored Ape 1734, good on you. Now, during the pandemic, though, which we were in the middle of the pandemic when these things launched, holding paper assets or crypto assets is huge. If I had a Bored Ape, man, that would be awesome. It's awesome. But when the pandemic hits, how do I pay for my DoorDash again? Now, here's the thing about assets, and this is becoming more increasingly available in the NFT space. You can borrow against your assets. I have stocks. My stocks went 3x in the beginning of the pandemic. We bought at the absolute bottom, put a ton of money in, and then it rallied all the way up and actually quadrupled. I can pull out a loan against those stocks, just like I can pull out a home equity line of credit. Now, in the NFT space, if a Bored Ape 1734 owner took out a loan against their Bored Ape to get through the pandemic so that they could pay for their DoorDash while they're in lockdown, good for them. They can do that. But then could they sell? Well, not responsibly, unless they sold for a profit and didn't borrow to the hilt. What if they borrow at 80%? They got to sell their ape and then pay back the loan. They spent money they didn't have. So what was the point of holding the asset the whole time? Did they really get that far ahead? Well, they paid for their lifestyle. So assets are great, and I want you to have assets. And like real estate, I want you to have assets. But if you're an ape owner, a Bored Ape owner, or a CryptoPunk owner, or a painting owner, you own an Andy Warhol original, you take out a loan against your asset, you pay for your lifestyle, you still own on that loan. So when you have a non-income bearing asset, chances are you're going to struggle to pay back that loan anyway. Billy jumps in. Boom. Billy says, I feel like people who have a vision of how to get where they want don't lose focus with large pops of money. Sticking to a plan is even more important when Bored Apes can sell for 1 million plus. My thoughts are absolutely, if you have a very clear plan. Now, the trouble is with a lot of these Bored Ape owners is a lot of them are first generation wealth. They're truly nouveau riche, and they're new to being wealthy. Most of them, a lot of them, I won't say most, a lot of them. There's a lot of institutional investors now. There's a lot of celebrities now who have been managing money for a long time. But yes, you got to have a vision, you got to have a plan. But what are you going to do? And we're specifically talking about the difference between passive income and asset rich, which is a nuance, as you know, Billy. And it's especially a nuance for people who aren't necessarily getting skilled in financial freedom. They're not free. They still have the golden handcuffs. Carrie jumps in and says, best asset. Oh, Carrie's jumping ahead. Point number 4, Carrie, is the point you made. So I'll let you own point number 4. Maybe I'll create an NFT and give it to you. Best asset, your ability to make income and build passive income. Basically, your earning capacity and not earned income. A lot of earning capacity concepts are around like your ability to create earned income. We're going to call it your investment capacity, your ability to make your income and then make your income make income. So the second point is residual income is resilient income. I met a lot of people who had more cash in the bank than I did during the pandemic. They had a lot more cash than I did. But our primary business, our primary income is a residual model. And yes, we had to work it. It's not passive. It's an active earned income business that we are actively involved in. But that made us money. And it was resilient. And we only lost a few clients that we had to replace. I think we actually technically grew through the pandemic. During the pandemic, we actually grew a little bit and we worried far less than people who were sitting on assets like Bored Apes, like CryptoPunks, like NFTs that are worth actually on the market. They're worth something. But my residual income keeps going. So if the first point, let's go back here for you. If the first point is just because you're asset rich doesn't mean you are wealthy. The second point is residual income is resilient income. I might be able to take out a loan against my asset like my Bored Ape, like my NFT, like my property. But the difference between the property and the Bored Ape is the property is other people's income. My renters are paying for that loan. My NFT, my Bored Ape, no one's paying for that loan. That might be changing as Yuga Labs actually introduces residuals through their trilogy. They're going to be paying their Bored Ape owners for holding that NFT. That's different. And that is also true of staking crypto tokens. We could talk about staking tokens in another life. I've got in another video, I've got a bunch of my crypto tokens. They're all staked. All of my crypto portfolio is income earning crypto. Even Bitcoin, which itself isn't, but we have it staked. You have it in places where it earns crypto. That's where it's at, man. The third point is multiple streams of income is even better. So if residual income, passive income is good, is better than assets, multiples of them is even better. You see, during the pandemic, my real estate income complemented our business income. Our business income was our top line of income, but our real estate income, and I mean income, I don't mean asset growth, I mean cash flow to me, continued to grow. We have a property in Cocoa. We have our businesses here. Those continue to bring income to Marissa and I during the pandemic. Our businesses grew slightly. Our assets took a major hit. We even had a 4X, as I mentioned, in the stock market, but we didn't eat on DoorDash with that. We didn't use that to put gas in our tank. It was only the residual income. We still had to work, but I don't mind work. So the fourth thing is exactly what Carrie said right here. Your best asset, your ability. The fourth thing is this: the skill of SSI, sparked streams of income, AKA multiple streams of income. This is the ability to control oneself. That if you're buying an asset, buy it with a plan. To Billy's point, you got to have a plan. You can buy a Bored Ape, go for it. What's your business plan? They're expensive. Can you buy them? Sure. What's your business plan? You could buy a bunch of low cost NFTs. And what's your business plan on those? Well, if they grow, I'm going to either flip them or I'm going to take a loan against them, but this is how I'm going to use that loan. Or I'm going to flip them, and if they grow in popularity, then I'm going to create a t-shirt line based on my NFT. What's your plan? Can you control yourself? And on top of that, can you educate yourself? Can you learn about multiple streams of income? Can you learn about 1031 exchanges? Do you know how to talk to a tax accountant? Do you know how to move? Maybe the Bored Ape person, if they sold Bored Ape 1734 for $1.4 million, maybe they can't get a 1031 exchange. What if you actually took half of that money and put it into 10 properties? You could do it. And with all the deductions from getting into those 10 properties, you actually probably wouldn't have a large tax liability at all. You would minimize it dramatically, and you suddenly have income streams. That is the skill of SSI. It's one thing to have multiple streams of income, but number 4 is not about more streams of income. That was number 3. Number 3 was multiple streams of income. Number 4 is the skills behind multiple streams of income. Now, mind you, there are only 4 ways to create streams of income. We'll get into that in another video. On the planet, regardless of technology, there are only 4 streams of income, which simplifies the skills you need. Isn't that great? We'll talk about that in another video. Number 5 is my final point, and I'll let you get about your day with number 5. Number 5 is this. There is no such thing as passive income, really. No such thing. If you're following an Instagram influencer and they're telling you about passive income, they are either uneducated, don't know what they're talking about, or outright lying to you. Uneducated would mean, I just haven't read anything on it, so I'm lacking the terminologies to communicate what I'm trying to communicate. That's number 1. Number 2, they have no experience in the world, meaning they're just literally making it up. Or number 3, they're outright lying to you in order to sell you. Maybe they have experience. Maybe they know there's not such a thing as passive income, but they know that when you tell someone passive income, it's one of the number 1 trending terms on YouTube. I could throw that at you all day long, and you're going to buy what I'm selling you. But the truth is, there's no such thing as passive income, really. Do you have a subscription business, as we do? Great. What happens when your subscriptions dip? You've got to at least watch the thing. And when the subscriptions dip, you've got to do what it takes, whether it's marketing or sales, to get those subscriptions back up. That's not passive. Do you have residual income from a crypto DAO, decentralized autonomous organization like Wonderland? Great. Is it producing 75,000% a year? I just profiled one this morning called Safu. Do you have money in that? Is it generating tons of revenue over your original investment? Fantastic. Your assets are growing, but what happens when the price drops from $90,000 to $250 as it did for me? You have to stay on top of it and watch it and know when to pump the brakes, know when to pull your money out so that you preserve your capital, as we did with our investor group. Do you have real estate on the beach like we do that produces $3,000 to $5,000 a month? Great. What happens when the landscaper stops showing up, or the linens get destroyed, or eminent domain cases come down on your property? There is still work to do. The 5th point today is there's no such thing actually as passive income. It doesn't exist. Grant, what about my MLMs? You got to maintain the relationships. Grant, what about my gold being staked at Ethereum? You got to watch to make sure that company doesn't go out of business. And if it does, you got to watch to move that money, or you got to watch for better rates in the market. Listen, you've heard the phrase, everything is hard, choose your heart. Everything is hard. Choose your heart. Managing money is not easier. Managing money takes a big brain. It takes a lot of research. It takes a lot of time. I know people in crypto NFTs that are making less than poverty income in the United States and are full-time truffle hunting for NFTs. They're rooting around everywhere they can, trying to find the next big NFT. You've heard the phrase, everything is hard, choose your heart. All this means is this: buckle in for hard work. Life is hard. Whether you're coding websites like me and Marissa are, we had some big projects this week. Boom, here we go. Billy jumps in, great stuff. In real estate, I can pay 15 to 25% to own. NFT, you pay 100%. Learn to leverage your money. That's true, Billy, but that's changing. There's going to be mortgages for NFTs soon, especially proven NFTs like Bored Apes. This is already beginning to happen. But for most NFTs, yes, you're right. You pay 100%, which means you have 100% of the risk. With real estate, you have 15 to 25% of the risk, and it's automatically, there's entire industries around income generation. But back to point number 5, there's no such thing as passive income, really. Choose your heart. Would you rather have to read books? Would you rather have to sit across from an accountant? Would you rather have to talk to bankers about loans and finance and make them your best friend? Or would you rather work by the sweat of your brow, laying bricks? Some people would rather do construction. And I got to tell you, the trades are very appealing because it's so hard to find good tradespeople. The salaries are going through the roof. You want to create enough money to buy your next real estate, your next Bored Ape, your next CryptoPunk, your next investment, whatever it is. It might behoove you to go freaking do a job. Don't start a side hustle because your bandwidth is going to get sucked into what's my marketing, what's my sales, unless it's your primary thing. But if you want to do the homework and the research of researching the right investment, it would probably make more sense to go get a labor job. Why? Because you clock in and clock out. When you clock out, you read books. When you're clocked in, you could just be thinking about your investments. Man, don't poo-poo on someone who works a 9 to 5, man, because those people have a bandwidth advantage. If you're in knowledge work and you work for a company, that might be a bit more difficult. If you manage a business, going into starting your own company sounds great until you're trying to create multiple streams of income. My primary business, Spark Sites, takes up a lot of bandwidth. It takes up a lot of bandwidth. And no, I can't daydream. No, I am not investing in crypto all day long. There are 3 additional crypto projects that are on my radar that I need to get in, and I know I don't have the time today to do it. I got into one, Safu, but I've got 3 others I need to get into. So the thing is this. Choose your heart. Carrie says, truth. The point number 5 is don't be fooled. There is no such thing as passive income. You might have thought, well, I bought a Bored Ape and I grew. That was passive. It's not passive. You're in the Discord all the time. And when you're trying to get your money out, you have to learn. And you're probably more leveraged than the average person. There's leveraged income. There's big brain income where you're sitting around and staring at a wall. Today, I have 2 consultations back to back. I'm also a small business coach and a performance coach. And that's partly what I do throughout my week. So today I've got 2 consultations. One, I'm helping someone do a quarterly alignment. Another, I'm helping people with brand and messaging. That's big brain work, and I enjoy it. The trick with the phrase, everything is hard, choose your hard, simply means this. It doesn't mean abuse yourself. It doesn't mean to stick out the things that you hate, but it means quit avoiding hard things. It means go into whatever other thing you're trying to get into, but go in as a hard worker. If you want to get into NFTs and crypto, go hard. Be a hard worker at that. If you're doing real estate as me and Marissa are, I'm telling you right now, me and Marissa's long-term strategy, our retirement strategy is real estate. Do not be fooled. I will always be involved in tech. We're launching our own token project. And if you want to get more information, join the Discord or text me or DM me so that you get on the list and we can whitelist you to get in early. We're going to have our own. We have several actually. One that's going to be supporting Latin schools, which I'm really pumped about. And another one that I'm just nerding out about because of 80s and 90s video games. I just love that time of video games. So we got plenty of coming out. So check out about that. But this 5th point is this. Do not be lured by the siren song of passive income. Be lured by your dream. I don't like this phrase, if you love your work, you never work a day in your life. If you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That's not true. Everything you do is going to be hard work, but I do encourage you to love what you do. So choose your hard simply means find what you love and double down, but treat it like a hard ass work because man, if they say it takes 10,000 hours to become a pro at something, man, put in your time. Well, like Billy with real estate. Billy does real estate. I do real estate. I do crypto. I do investing. I've got 4 things: business, crypto or investments, which would include crypto, and real estate. So technically I've got 3 and then a 4th. We sell books. I just wrote my latest book. I'm going to do my next book. And I think it's going to be ADD streams of income, man, and how to regulate yourself so that you can actually make money and still be a spaz a little bit, which I have in spades. But whatever it is you do, put in your time. If you think NFTs are fun, awesome. I'm going to hype you. But if you're just buying random NFTs and not doing your research and not launching your own NFTs and not learning how to borrow against your NFTs and not learning how to turn that into residual income, I question whether or not you actually know what you're doing. So why are we talking about any of this? Why are we talking about financial freedom and crypto and multiple streams of income? Because we are talking, State of the Spark is all about freedom at large. And if we're talking about freedom at large, we're talking about the financial system, the economic system of those seeking freedom is entrepreneurship, investment, and financial freedom. Here we go. Carrie just says this, boom. I love my work. Since it takes my time, it's work. I'm just grateful my time in work is in joyful things, I think is what she's saying. Absolutely. So why are we talking about any of this? Because I want you to feel free. I want you to be free because I suspect this. If you are free, financially free, time free, location free, if you are doing what you love, chances are you're going to do more good in the world and you're going to help others become free. You're going to help others get out of the matrix. But listen, no matter what you do today, whether it's Bored Apes, whether it's hard work in real estate investment like Billy, whether it's relationship building, whether it's sales, whatever it is you put your hands to today, I want you to remember the mission. Igniting lives of explosive significance, starting with your own.